Most conflict scenes don't fail because the writing is weak. They fail because nothing is actually demanded of the character in that moment. Characters argue. Dialogue sharpens. Emotion escalates. And yet, the story doesn't move. If you've rewritten a conflict scene multiple times, adjusting dialogue, raising stakes, intensifying emotion, and it still feels inert, the problem probably isn't execution. It's pressure. What momentum actually is. Momentum isn't pace. It isn't volume. And it isn't emotional intensity. Momentum is commitment. A scene has momentum when it forces the story to narrow. Most conflict scenes don't do that. They express tension, but they don't bind the narrative. So, the story remains free to drift. There's a single question that diagnoses this instantly. If nothing changes after this scene, does the story still make sense? If the answer is yes, the scene has no momentum. A working conflict scene makes neutrality impossible. Someone loses ground. An option closes. A cost becomes unavoidable. Without that, the scene is decorative, even if it's well written. Conflict scenes usually stall for structural reasons, not stylistic ones. Sometimes both characters actually want the same outcome. They disagree about method, not consequence. Sometimes delay is safe. Nothing worsens if the decision is postponed, so urgency disappears. Often conflict becomes emotional rather than strategic. Characters vent instead of pursue. Expression replaces action. And very often, scenes resolve too cleanly. Equilibrium returns. Pressure dissipates. In all of these cases, the scene feels active, but it doesn't force the story to respond. Fixing symptoms instead of causes. This is why rewrites become endless. Writers rewrite dialogue when the problem is pressure. They restructure acts when the problem is one scene. They escalate emotion when the problem is consequence. Without diagnosis, rewriting becomes guesswork. And guesswork is exhausting. Before rewriting a conflict scene, diagnose it. Ask whether the scene applies real pressure. Ask whether something becomes unavoidable. Ask whether the story is now constrained. If the scene doesn't force commitment, no amount of polish will give it momentum. For writers who want precision. If you want a way to diagnose conflict scenes in your script before rewriting, I've put a short book version in the description, including practical tools and a checklist designed specifically for this problem.